And welcome to the Ultimate You podcast. And with Joel, I'll turn it over to you to get us started.
You want to eat something?
Yeah, you go ahead. Tell us what we're doing today, and I'll continue eating since that's one of the most important things we do in our day.
Well, what are you eating right now?
Oh, I'm eating eggs, strawberries, grapes, cherries.
How about you put the fork down and listen for a while? Now as a podcast listener, what did you eat today? Yeah, I mean, what kind of food did you put into your mouth, chew it up, swallow, and have your digestive system turn that into fuel for your body? Was that the best possible food to provide you with the maximum nutrition and the energy that your body needs to keep moving all day long? So whatever you ate today, tomorrow you got to do it all over again. And then the next day and the next day. And if you just have 3 meals a day, you're going to eat 1,095 times this year. And at that rate, I have eaten over 87,000 meals in my 80 years. But what if you're only 40 years old? Well, you've got over 43,000 meals in your body. The question for you is, how good for you has that food been? In this Ultimate You podcast with our special guest, Todd Abrams, you're going to find out a lot about nutrition, how your body uses the food that you eat, and how you can eat even healthier and oh so much more. And you're going to leave here with a plan of action that you can implement immediately. And hopefully, you're going to feel even more excited how you can have a nutritionally balanced diet of food that you love. Now, as you know, some people can do and some people can teach. Todd Abrams can do both of those. He is the CEO and co-founder of Icon Meals, Inc., which is a very unique company that provides pre-cooked meals, totally prepared for you, shipped right to your door. Todd knows food. He also knows how to have an amazing body because he's been a competitor in the International Federation of Bodybuilding and the Pro Men's Physique competitions. He knows how the food you eat can be best used by your body. So he's in magnificent physical condition. Plus, he's got to keep up with his 3 kids and keep studying the science of food and study diet and training. So, Todd, thanks for taking time out of your busy day. Welcome. And before you get into anything else, please tell our podcast listener, what is the single most important thing they need to know about food?
Thanks, Joel, for the intro. And I'd say, I guess, first off, it has to be consistency. So consistency, I'd say if you ask me one word, that would be the word I'd give you. I think over my 40 plus years, I wasn't always in the best shape. And I think that was when consistency probably wasn't in my life, right? I didn't really understand what I was putting in my body. I just knew, hey, food meant calories and calories going in. And I thought I was doing all the right things. But once I started to understand and really get more into the diet aspect, really looking at, I'll call it food, nutrition as a tool, as a resource for achieving whatever goals that is you want to be, but also then really looking at it as a tool for me, allowing myself and to be able to teach others to use it as, I'll call it a piece in the longevity cycle, right? Really keeping up with your good health and different things. And that sort of consistency and discipline really it comes into effect, and that would be the one thing I'd have to tell them.
Great. Well, Robbie, why don't you start us off with your background too in the area of food and nutrition? Can't hear you, Robbie.
Yeah, Joel, it started for me around the age of 12 when I read my first exercise science textbook. And I also, a year after, I read my first nutrition college textbook. So it started then, went to college for nutrition. I don't want to bore you with the details, but long story short, I had experience from the bodybuilding world. And the really interesting thing is when you go from academia into the bodybuilding world, in a way, the bodybuilders really had it figured out for many, many years, long before academia ever did, in terms of getting the best body composition results, which fitness isn't always health, right? Just because you're more fit does not necessarily mean you're more healthy. But the big thing is learning the things that really worked. So I tried to take the things from college and apply it to clients, and it didn't work very well. They didn't really lose weight. So what I ended up doing is I learned from actual application to clients, much from the bodybuilding world, and then going back in and diving deep into the science world in terms of the health world as well. And that's kind of where the nutrition background came from. But here's the interesting stuff. The interesting stuff is beyond all the boring details of what I did in the background is the thing that makes you have an amazing nutrition plan is this. It's not eating the food. It's not, because by the time you get there, it's already too late. The thing you have to do is you have to be prepared ahead of time to make the right decision. You have to have the right food in the house, number one. And number two, if the food needs to be prepared, you have to have that food prepared. And that is the hard part about having a day in, day out healthy nutrition plan. That's the hard part, because if you do that and then you have a busy schedule, right? Or even don't have a busy schedule, when you go to eat, it's already there. It's already ready and it's already prepared. So when you get those first two things right, then you're able to get a much better nutrition plan day in, day out. And the other thing is to take the food with you. But now that we're in COVID days, not as many people are out of the house. They spend so much more time in the house in the home office. So you don't really have to take the food with you, but you have to have the right food in the house and you have to have the right food prepared. And that's why, for me, what Todd's doing in his company prepares these amazing meals. We've bought from them. We've tried all their meals. They're amazing. And the best part about it is he figures it out for you. You have the food in the house and you have it prepared. And for me, that's the most important thing, is like, it's easy to have a healthy nutrition plan when you already got the food in the house. So, with that, Todd, I would ask you, like, what do you do to make it even easier for people to follow a healthy nutrition plan day in and day out?
Yeah, I think you're 100% correct, Robbie. The reason why we started the company is really that element of what you just elaborated on, is convenience, right? And you're correct. It is having it in your pantry, or having it in the fridge. And when we started the company 6 years ago, it was more, for me, I started the company based on, there wasn't a lot out there, and I'm a picky eater. I just, again, wanted what I wanted. So we started actually building custom meals. And as you said, when you are able to prepare those meals for an individual, for your, let's say, your listeners, where it's you getting to choose your protein, the specific portion size, and if you want a carb, specific portion size, veggies, etc., and tailoring it to you, allowing you to have those meals prepared, as you know, without any, I'll call it, preservatives, without any really sauces or anything. It's plain whole food cooked, right? Which is, some people say, oh, it's bland. Well, then you can put your own condiments or seasonings or whatever on it, but allowing you to have that in your house. And really what Joel mentioned was in regards to those 3 meals a day, again, being consistent, eating those 3 meals a day. But again, you're right, you have to have the food in the house. So staying on diet, staying on point, etc., goes to being able to, like you said, be prepared. And that's what really Icon Meals does. We started the company to be able to provide ready to eat prepared meals, put some technology in it in regards to our packaging, cryovac technology. So helping you with that extended shelf life, 12 to 14 days, again, no gases, no nitrogen, etc. It's just basically removing the oxygen out of that meal to allow you to have your, let's say, your weekly regimen of those, let's say 5-7 days, but again, you have 12 to 14 days. Or if someone chooses to freeze those meals, then they have up to 6 months if they're frozen. But again, going and being able to pull out that meal for your breakfast, let's say, or your lunch, or meal 3, depending on what regimen or diet plan you're on, and being able to heat it up within 1 to 3 minutes, that element of convenience. I always use the example of, let's say, busy mom, she's an executive, right? She's running all over. As we know, we all live hectic lives. And maybe she has to go pick up the 4 kids at soccer practice. She can either feed the whole soccer team on paper plates within 1 to 3 minutes, sort of chef prepared 5-star meals, or she can have that same meal entree on bone china with a glass of, let's say, vino or whatever with her husband down the road later that night. But again, the same nutritional elements, again, that element of convenience, 1 to 3 minutes, and just allowing that to be part of their ongoing daily basis on that schedule, allowing them to have more convenience, which means what? It means more time for you to be able to focus and do what you need to do, and allow us to take that element out of your daily regimen of spending X amount of time trying to prepare. And then when you don't have enough time, going and just grabbing something that you might be hangry about or whatever, and making that wrong decision. So when you're prepared, you're on point.
Yeah,
let me interrupt as the novice in the group when it comes to this. The only thing I know about food is I've been eating it a long time. And Robbie has been, Todd, my personal trainer for going on over 20 years now. We've worked together. So he's been in complete control over what I put in my mouth, and the results have been really terrific. So how about some basics from your part? What would be some of the do's and don'ts? Now, for our listener, we don't know anything about, how much they weigh, what kind of shape they're in, but we all have bodies, and the human body works pretty much the same. Is that correct?
I'd say yes and no, Joel. To me, and Robbie might differ on this. I think that's an open-ended question, because for some individuals, right, you don't know what you don't know. I always tell people, hey, people always come to me and they say, hey, what's the best diet for me? Or what should I be eating? And I say, well, first, it's going to be the diet that you can stick to. But secondly, I always tell people, have you ever gone in and got a blood panel? Have you ever got your full labs done? And the reason I tell them that, and it's not for, hey, some PEDs or anything like that. It's to understand how your body utilizes food. So I say you should, most people should, in my mind, should go get nutrition testing, like in regards to food sensitivity. But also when I say what's in your blood, and I wrote an article many years ago about this, because they might have some meditated condition that they're not even aware of it, right? Their thyroid might have an issue. They might have an issue how they process carbs, how they process fats. They might have some different XY chromosome that, again, from a genome standpoint, that might cause them to not be able to lose weight in a certain way by eating certain foods. So I think that's important. And then I tell them, once you understand that element of it, you can then build a diet around sort of those protocols. I've had lots of people that didn't know they were allergic to a certain food, and they've been eating it for many years. I had other people that haven't been able to lose weight because they didn't know that they had a thyroid or preconceived condition or a kidney issue or a liver, like fatty liver. There's a whole bunch of different things that you don't know what you don't know, but the blood panel will actually show you. And for me, it's not just a regular sort of a GP. It's going to like a wellness doctor, right, that really understands the hormone side of it, but also just the whole panel. And that was a big eye opener for me many years ago, because I'd gone to my normal general practitioner. And he said, "Oh yeah, you're great, whatever." But when I went to a wellness doctor, I got a 27-page lab, and I was like, holy, I don't even want to know half the stuff that's in there, right? But that's one thing that people don't know. And then when you say, our diets like the same diet for everyone else, or should everyone eat the same? There's basics that they should eat, right? They should eat X amount of protein. And maybe I'm biased, but I would say, hey, it's typically going to be a 1 to 1.25 times per lean body weight, pound per body weight. Again, carbs to me are a resource, right? Not all people are going to function the same way. Not all people utilize carbs the same way. Not all people utilize fat. But one thing many people do that don't understand is they eat a ton of fat and a ton of carbs together, and your body doesn't know which one to process and use as energy, and it's going to store one or the other. So there's a lot of different things, but there's certain things that everyone should do. Drink a ton of water. I say everyone minimum gallon per day. I'm probably 2+ gallons per day. Again, take a lot of what I call, most people focus on the macros, and Robbie's probably can attest to this, but the proteins, the fats, the carbs, maybe a little bit of fiber. They don't focus much on the refined sugars, that the thing that really causes the inflammation in other parts, and that's a whole nother conversation. But then they also don't pay attention to what I call the micros, right? And the micros are really but what I call the longevity, the vitamins, okay? The different things that are actually not necessarily in every bit of food, but when you start understanding what you need to supplement with that as well on top of your food, then I say you're building like that sort of foundation that's no more hay on sand. It's more a concrete, solid foundation that then you can make tweaks to grow from on there. So I know there's a little probably open-ended, but I think those are some key pieces. I don't know, Robbie, if you have anything on that.
Yeah, Todd, I totally agree with you. I mean, basically, yeah, you and I are totally in agreement. The one thing that I've added to it over the years, giving people, like the full spectrum of nutrition advice and then seeing what their behavior is what I did is I changed my approach because of human psychology, and then basically went into what you're talking about. And let me give it very actionable for you, our listener. And that is, protein, high protein, just like Todd talked about. For most people who aren't super physically active, that's going to be 1 gram per lean body mass pound. Okay. And then the next thing is vegetable and fruit. So if you go and look up in a college text, nutrition text, all the micronutrients, the majority of them you're going to find in an array of vegetables and fruits. So the micronutrients you're going to get primarily from vegetable and fruit. Yes, there's other sources of these things, but vegetable and fruit are like the 20% of action that gets you 80% results. Vegetable and fruit. Then exactly what Todd just said, hydration. After that, you and I are totally on the same page. After that, if you're super physically active, then you should increase some fats and carbs, really look at those things. And further than that, you need to go to your naturopathic physician that specializes in analyzing nutrition plans, do a micronutrient assay is what they call it. Look at that panel, and then you can optimize from there, right? And the further down the chain you want to get, if you want to be extreme and go to the athlete level, you can continue on to that blood work. But you've got to start. You don't have a good nutrition plan until you get adequate protein, adequate vegetable, adequate fruit intake, and then hydration. Those are the things. That is where you start. And if you do that, you will get lean and you will feel better, especially if you're not doing that now.
I think one of the biggest things I see, Robbie and Joel, is a lot of people, especially men, women though as well, but men they believe they're taking in enough protein, but they're not. When I look at a lot of diets and people say, oh yeah, I'm taking this much protein, they're not. They're way under, right? And when a male specifically or female are trying to get lean, that plays a big role into allowing them to be able to get lean. If you don't have the protein coming in and they're not giving their body proper nutrients to like for muscle growth, but also then just for recovery, I think that's a big part. And when I see a lot of people's diets, there's like, oh yeah, I'm taking in 250 grams of protein. I have some guys that aren't even taking in 150 based on what they're showing me and stuff, right? So that's the first thing I also tell people all the time. And that's why, like, for Icon meals, we really tried to build what we called at the start, protein-centric convenient meals, right? That allow you to select that protein option, build bigger portions if you require that, etc. But allowing them, I tell people all the time, and my kids, eat your protein first, right? So if there's 3 different things, the vegetables, let's say on your plate, the protein portion is what I believe to be most important. Then I'm 100% on your page, followed up with those vegetables, right? And eating those vegetables, getting them in, they're also going to help you to feel fuller. Again, taking a little bit fiber from that as well, but 100% on the same page that way.
Yeah.
Let me stop and ask you a dumb question now, because being the least informed of both of you. So when you say 1 gram of protein for body weight, all right,
lean body mass,
are you talking about?
Joel, lean body mass. So let's say you have a 200-pound guy and he has a 20% body fat. So if we remove 20% of a 200-pound person, that's 160 pounds of lean body mass and 40 pounds of fat mass on a 20%. So what we're saying is, and both Todd and I agree to, is a good starting point for a physically active person, but not athletically active, is 1 gram per pound of lean body mass. So you don't have to get your body. Go ahead, Joel.
For what? That's 160 of what? 6 grams per day, per meal?
Per day.
Of protein. And then you would divide that over, let's say you eat 3 meals, Joel, you divide that over 3 meals or 5 meals, whatever that is. It's up to you. It doesn't have to be divided equally, but that's the easiest way that and Robbie, even when I tell people, because some people go, I don't know my lean body mass and blah, 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 blah. And you can try to tell them whatever. But from the standpoint of that, I'll even go back and let's say it is a 200-pound individual, right? I'm going to tell them to be as close as to that almost 200 pounds of protein, because I find still they utilize underneath a little bit. But again, just for the general masses out there, it's way easier. Like you said, hey, it's lean body mass. But again, if an individual weighs 180, 200, I'm going to try to tell them just to be sort of that. So I'm probably of the falling between that 1 to 1.25, but.
Yeah, I mean, another way to look at this is just, if we just make it easy, if you can like see your abs, okay? Yeah. If you can see your abs and you're really lean, for a guy, you're going to be around 8. For a female, you're going to be around 12 to 15, okay? Then if you can't really see your abs, but you don't really have a lot of excess body fat, for a guy, you're going to be maybe 12, 15. For a woman, you're going to be around 20-ish. Yep. Then as you start to gain some excess body, you got like 30 pounds to lose. For a guy, you're going to be around 20%. Women, you're going to be around 25. And then as we go up to 50 pounds, 80 pounds to lose, now we start getting into the 30-ish percentage of fat. So if you take yourself listening to this and then you just say, well, which one am I? Then you can deduct out and then go a gram per pound of lean body mass. And here's the thing. If you're exercising about 30 minutes per day or more of moderate to high intensity exercise, that's the point where you begin to really need to now get into a gram per pound of body weight, right? But the reason why both Todd and I recommend lean body mass, which I love that you do that, and that's actually very rare. Most people recommend per pound of body weight, is because if you have 30% body fat, that should not count.
Correct.
For the protein. That tissue is energy source. It's just sitting there. It actually does. We used to think, right, and this is getting into an interesting side topic, so I won't go too far, but we used to think that fat had zero energy production, and they actually have shown in the last several years that it's not a lot, but actually your fat cells do have some mitochondria or ability to produce energy. And so fat does produce, but it's so minimal. It's really, really, really minimal. So with that being said, you need to go towards lean body mass, and Joel, I think what's really interesting is, you're 80 in October and you follow a nutrition plan that is really healthy day in and day out. And at 80, you're able to do things that most 40-year-olds can't. And I find that huge. So for me, sir, you are a nutrition expert in a way because of your ability to follow habitual pattern. So what I would think would be interesting also, Joel, is for you to share what is the wisdom that you would share with us that aren't 80 to be able to follow a nutrition plan day in and day out that's worked for you. How have you been able to do that and do it for year after year after year?
Well, the first thing I want to comment on is what Todd's opening comment was. And we had no idea what he was going to say. And so when I asked him after introducing him, what's the one most important thing? He used one word: consistency. And I think that's one of the things that I've learned in my many years is if something's working, keep doing it. And unfortunately, that's not what most people do. So I would say that's part of the reason I feel the way I do. And as I tell Robbie, I wake up every morning, nothing hurts and everything works. I just feel great every day and I don't get tired. And I just spent all weekend water skiing with young guys, awesome, including Robbie's trainers. They all get tired and sore. I don't. Yeah. And the reason is because Robbie has got me over these years eating right. And his requirement was I had to send him a list, everything that went into my mouth for a whole week. And then we went through good, bad, indifferent, get rid of that, don't do this, more of that. And that's what's happened. So I eat pretty much the same thing every day. Yeah, so do I. Because of what Todd said, consistency. And that's what you need to think of. Everything in your life should be based on results. Your work. If you can't wait to go to work and you feel so disappointed you have to leave it, you've got the right career. If you don't get up in the morning thinking, I want to go to work, and you think, oh, I got to go to work, you're doing the wrong thing. You're not getting a positive result. Same thing with your food. If what you're eating makes you feel good, gives your body the energy it needs to keep operating all day long and not get tired and give up on you, then you're doing it right. So I'm so results oriented, and I only do what gets me results. And thanks to Robbie's nutritional help, I eat the things that are good, and anything on there that's not, I stop. So a couple of years ago, I gained more weight in the winter, and it doesn't change much over the last 30 years. So my high is usually close to up in the 190, and my low with the water skiing year, most of the summertime, was 187. I mean, that's not a big range, but those few pounds made a difference. So he looked at what I was eating. No more bacon, no more cheese. You don't need that stuff. So that was the last day I had a piece of bacon or cheese because Robbie said it's not helping me. So I eat a lot of vegetables, fruit, lean meat, chicken, and fish, a lot of fish. I don't put any seasonings on anything, no salts or any of that. And I drink only water. That's it.
Great. I think one of the things, Joel and Robbie, that's key to what Joel just said is I see so many people often listen to not just one person, right? They think, oh, they like what they hear from this individual or this individual, or they ask the same question to 3 different people if they're working with a diet coach. And I think that's one area where a lot of people fall off, right? Because they don't necessarily like what one person tells them, so they go somewhere else. And we see that a lot. And I think that's one thing that Joel, besides his consistency, is working with you, and you guys have an understanding of, and obviously, Robbie, you know how Joel's body's processing food, utilizing food, you train him, etc. And I think that's so important. So I tell people all the time, listen and stay with one person if you're working with an individual. Don't just start jumping all over the place. And it's the same with food. Don't start jumping all over trying different diets, right? There's the keto diet, there's this diet, there's that diet. It's whatever diet works for you. But also if you're working with someone, listen to that individual. And I say that's the mentorship, right? The time collapsing element of helping you achieve the results that you want to get, because someone else is going to be harder on you than you're on yourself sometimes. And that's important in not only the nutritional aspect, but training aspect of trying to achieve a result as well.
Well, that's very good, because you corrected me when I said we all have a body that works pretty much the same, but isn't that true to some degree that we have fat, and that fat, regardless of who you are, is going to do certain things. The protein does a certain thing. The water does certain things for the body, no matter who you are. And obviously the impact is different. So I think your first advice is find out where you are now.
Yep.
And get tested and realize, I'm not a motorhead, but I do. Robbie is much more into engines and different vehicles, but a truck has the same engine as a car pretty much, but some are diesel and some are gas.
Yep.
You wouldn't want to put diesel gas in a regular engine or regular gas in a diesel engine, even though they're both engines. And I think the same thing about body testing. That's a great idea, Todd, is to find out where you are and then get advice. Pick out the person, like Todd said, and listen to him if you're getting results. Now, obviously, if I kept gaining weight over the last 20 years, felt tired every day, bye-bye, Robbie. But after all of these years, I keep feeling better and better the older I get.
That's great.
So
that's why we call him Benjamin Button.
Robbie, and I'm listening. And if he tells me to stop eating something, it's over that day. No more.
Great.
Yeah. And the thing is like, you should be able to enjoy your nutrition, right? It shouldn't just be this arduous thing where, and one of the reasons why, like, I recommend the whole protein, vegetable, fruit, water is because I already know that you listening to the show, you're not going to do that. You're not going to just do that. If you drink alcohol, you're going to have some alcohol. You're going to have wine. You're going to eat carbs. You're going to go to a restaurant and eat bread or other carbohydrate sources. You're going to have some fat. You're not going to just be that diligent every day, day in and day out. So I already know that you are getting those nutrients, right? So I already know that. It's not that exactly what I said, you're going to get only those things, right? So for Joel, we talk about, he has his snack food items. For him, it's vegetable chips, right? Which come with some olive oil and some carbohydrate to them. So he's doing those things. He likes crunchy food. So, he's getting some of those foods that way. But Todd, one thing I think that's really cool that you guys do is you've come up with all these healthy snack items that you also have in your delivery system, like protein popcorn, right? I just saw that the other day on your site, and it's so cool. Tell us more about the delicious foods, right? Because the whole thing about what we want you, the listener, to take away is what is the easiest, most delicious day in, day out plan that you can follow, right? And get amazing results. Mm-hmm. So we've already told you that the way to do that is to be prepared, have the right food in the house and have the right food prepared. Todd makes that happen for you. And also enjoy some foods. Don't restrict yourself so much. So Todd, tell us about the amazing, delicious stuff that you have.
What I tell people, Robbie, we make, allow people to make choices. I call it good, better, bad choices, right? So it's not going to be, hey, the worst thing. Again, if you're looking at like protein popcorn, the original formula has, of course, some just raw sugar in it. But again, we try to produce and create functional food items. So all our other functional food items are, we have, I don't know, a bunch of things, right? High protein coffee. We have high protein vegan chips. We have protein popcorn. The second version, again, has a clean, so they all have clean ingredient decks. And that's just, again, really looking at what you're putting in your body, right? So no high fructose corn syrup. The seasonings minimize salt, minimize sodium, etc. But again, things that allow people to enjoy what they're eating. So I'm, again, not going to lie, after I eat, I still crave sweets once in a while, right? So from that standpoint, I'm going to have some protein popcorn. We have a high protein cereal coming out. Again, no sugars, etc. We try to utilize other things, allulose, and we try to use stevia, monk fruit, etc. So different ingredients that allow you to get that sensation still, enjoy the food, but not necessarily with the bad stuff attached to it. And one thing I think I see a lot of people always saying, hey, they try to set a goal, maybe that's a long-term goal, and they never hit that goal because they're trying to be just that perfect, right? They got to get somewhere and it has to be perfect. And I tell people all the time, when you're eating on a nutrition plan and you're training and stuff, you sometimes don't always look at, hey, perfect, because perfect's sort of this facade, right? I use a phrase, better is perfect. And better is perfect is if you can better yourself, making sure that you're eating, I don't know, the right way, right? And every single day trying to perfect, and not perfect, but trying to get better in any area of your nutrition, your training, I don't know, your mindset, your business, right? Just making that 1% better on a daily basis. You're going to achieve that, what some people see as perfect. But the reason I say that is because some people say they're going to make decisions once they get here or there. But again, that's sometimes a long way off. So don't go chasing this one goal. Try to break down in micro pieces. Celebrate those small wins, and then you'll find it easier to continue on the nutrition journey. And for so many people, it's just that maybe that first week, that first 1 or 2 weeks of eating clean, right? And again, that 21 days and then the 90 days where it becomes a habit. And for me, like I'm probably the same as Joe, where I eat the same things day in and day out, just because that's what I'm been conditioned, I'll say, and the consistency and the discipline. It's part of what I do. But do I still enjoy other foods? 100%, of course. But in moderation, in the correct pockets. And that's why what we've done in Icon is trying to allow you to make the decisions on the diet and the food that you want. So our signature meals, yes, some have sauces, some have different things, but all the ingredient and macro profiles are on it. And you can still build it to what you want. And then the custom meals, even custom breakfast, you can build exactly to what you want. And then the functional foods, we find, hey, substitution in for snacks. So instead of eating maybe chips, I might have our vegan chips, right? Which my kids love. Or I might have one serving or a half serving of protein popcorn. Or I'll have one scoop of maybe our protein coffee with nootropic and sure, my caffeine in it before I'm going to work out. So again, different things that allow you to achieve that result, trying to help you stay on course. And I'll say, make better, bad choices where it's not just, hey, I'll call it junk. So again, we have quite a few more things coming out over this year. We just released a high protein Wagyu beef bar. And again, if you're a beef connoisseur, Wagyu is great, high protein, lower fat beef, but we work with a lot of those cattle farmers for our actual protein that we put in our meals. And we wanted to do something different. Didn't want a beef jerky that was 100% dehydrated. So it's actually a textured bar. And if you haven't tried those already, I'll get you guys both some of those to try. But again, somewhere in the realm of great snacks, 16 grams of protein, I think 2 grams of carbs, 3 grams of fat, under, I believe, 70 grams of sodium, milligrams of sodium. So we're trying to put things in place that allow you to make that better choice while keeping you on your overall plan and towards achieving that long-term goal.
That's awesome. Yeah. And Joel, what do you think in terms of? Actually, let me ask you this first, Todd. You have quite the operation now. You know, in our show is really about both fitness and about business and about speaking to build your business, right? Joel Weldon is a legend in the speaking industry. He's a Hall of Fame speaker. He's spoken for some of the biggest corporations in the world. He's elite. Anybody that knows him in the entrepreneurial circle knows how amazing he is. So one thing I would like to do is I want to tie in, Todd, how you've built your business, right? In terms of, because you have a massive operation. Then I would like to tie in with you, Joel, of what do you think about the best way to present the message, right? So let's let's enable people to learn about business building, how you've built, because you've built a massive operation. And then Joel, I think it'd be amazing for you to share how this should best be presented to an audience and how that can relate to anything that anyone's trying to build in their own business life. So let's go in that direction. And Todd, I'll let you start. Share with us your business, and then Joel's going to follow up with that amazing, powerful impact.
Yes, we've had Icon Meals, and in my background outside of this, I've had 3 other companies, so I've never really worked for anyone before. I don't even honestly know if I'm employable, right? So I've had 3 other startups prior to this, and it's a little bit different. I was in the application software development and space, but that's another conversation. And then in 2014, I started Icon Meals, more, I'll call it as a passion project, but at start, it was a little bit different, right? I'm used to having, the last company I owned, we owned data centers, cloud computing, et cetera. So a lot more high-level C executives, management, et cetera. Here we have roughly, I believe, about 90 people right now. Operate out of our main facility in Dallas is roughly 33,000 square feet. FDA, USDA inspected facility. So from the food standpoint, I always tell people if I knew 6 years ago what I know now, I probably wouldn't be in the perishable food space, right? It's a tricky operation. It's again, though, it is all about the same elements of any business, right? It's about surrounding yourself with the right people and building out the right people in your team that are going to elevate and grow the business. And it's about building culture. You have to have a good, solid foundation with, I'll call it key company values, morals, ethics, et cetera, and build that foundation on a solid foundation. A lot of people, sure, we could do different things to, I'm sure, make more money and cut corners and stuff, but that's what we chose not to do a long time ago. We're one of only a couple operations in the whole US that operate 100% our own raw room. So that's where we're bringing in our own meats. We're trimming everything. We don't use anything frozen. Believe it or not, in 33,000 square feet, we don't even have a freezer. So everything comes in here fresh. It's a full single door in operation through 5 different segments out, where everything is 100% refrigerated. So after the first room where it's cooked, it goes into the next rooms and it's cooled. From there, it never comes back over 34 degrees. So people are working 24/7 in 30-ish degree weather, going through a plating process, a packaging process, into where it's actually pulled and put into boxes to then have FedEx or whichever LTL carrier or whatever's picking it up. But again, it's about surrounding yourself with those key people, right? And building teams. I tell people all the time, it's probably a downfall of mine as well. Maybe Joel can speak to this, but I don't micromanage people, right? But I look at that as a strength and a weakness all in the same, where, again, we try to enable people. We try to empower them. We try to give them that decision-making ability and look at where we can sort of build pieces. And then we try to train upon, provide mentorship, we do a lot of different things that maybe some others in the business world don't do. We provide like a mastermind environment for our key people. We just did a big challenge for, again, what we're speaking on, nutrition and training and stuff. So we took our 18 executives here, put them into a 60-day challenge. It was credible, just, again, different results, people losing 20 pounds. Again, we did everything, though. Put them into a diet plan, provided them food, provided them personal trainers. We all did exactly what Joel was talking about. We set them up on a bar where we went and got everyone's body fat and different body analytics tested, so they knew a baseline where they could grow from, whether that meant to put on weight, to lose weight, or whatever their individual goals were. We then put them into a routine and help them build habits, right? I had mindset coaches come in that I've used in the past in my network, and we brought them in. So for a 1-hour training every week, we did hot yoga for once a week. We did a group workout every Thursday. So for those 60 days, we sort of poured back into them, right? Because in my mind, that is a lot going to help them to become better people, to grow inside the organization, which helps. So we do a lot of team building and pieces in there. And then it's just scaling that. So I know my strengths and my weaknesses. My strengths, I've been able to build businesses up to a certain level. At that certain level, it's like what John Maxwell talks about, sort of law of the lid, right? You're hitting that lid, and you need to surround yourself with different people, different skill sets, and allow you to take that lid off to grow the next part of it. So for me, it's being able to push forward that vision and then have people come in behind and execute on that vision and carry that vision all throughout the organization, is really to allow us to what sort of the next level. And for us, I call it, we're sort of in phase, I'll call it 2 right now, that evolution. Facility can do about, probably out of this facility, I don't know, 250,000 plus meals per week. So we've still got a bit of room. We're just over that, I'll call it 100,000-ish. And again, a lot of different things coming down the pipe. So again, surrounding yourself with the right people, putting and pouring back into them is what's going to, in my mind, help you take that business to the next level. We also, a key part of ours is running what I call a client-centric organization. So really looking at that client as the key piece, right? Because without a client, you don't have a business. And so all the different elements and people inside our business are really focused on keeping that person or that group, you as the listener, right? You as the individual, happy and surrounding yourself with that value. We try to provide as much value as we can back to them. So, but again, that's sort of it. In regards to the business, I'll say I've always had to have two things. My mentor told me in business, I have to have one, recurring or residual revenue. And I look at food as that business. As Joel said, he's ate a lot of meals in his 80 years, right? So most people, it's not like buying a supplement once a month. It's people, we have that repeat business over and over again on a weekly basis. And then two, you have to have a solution to a problem. And 6 years ago, what I believe Icon Meal's solution was providing that element of convenience to people that have that, what we discussed, hectic, busy lifestyle, right? Providing that piece of time back in their life. So that's what we went forward with and have still structured as two of the core pieces of Icon moving forward.
So you started with, when you have a 33,000 square foot facility now with 90 employees for meal prep, and you do 250,000 meals a week. Is that correct?
So, right now we do about 100,000. We have capacity to do about 250 out of this building.
Okay.
We have two big new contracts that we've been working on for a year and a half. That one starts August 26th, which will take that up substantially. It's been an onboarding process for probably 8 months. And again, so we're already looking. We have 28,000 square feet next door we're in negotiations with. That would put us up to about almost 60,000. And again, just trying to keep the cart ahead of the horse ahead of the cart, right? But that's sort of what we're looking at right now. And again, it's a tricky operation. Shipping all over the U.S. We ship 6 days a week, and again, one of only a couple of companies that allows people to select the date. So as long as you have your meals ordered online prior to 2 p.m. Central, they'll be ready the next morning, local pickup, delivery, or they'll ship anywhere in the U.S. within 24 to 48 hours.
Wow. That's amazing. And where did you start? Did you buy out another operation, or did you start from?
No, we started from ground one. So from ground zero, we started. We had originally about a 4,000 square foot catering kitchen we were renting. And then we went ahead and we bought that. And then that grew to 4,000 to 7,000 to 11,000. And then from 11,000, we still have a small retail out of that facility. It's about 2,700 square feet, but we moved the whole core operation to this new building. And that was back a year and a half ago, just prior to COVID, the end of 19, we moved into this 33,000 square foot facility. And
what would you say went from ground zero to now you're producing over 100,000 meals a week? What was the one or two biggest things that created the growth?
I think one, it's what Joel said, right? Everyone here has a passion for what they do. Like I don't complain. I get up every day at 3 o'clock in the morning, right? I don't need a alarm clock to go off, even if I'm in the Bahamas, let's say somewhere. My wife hates it because I still wake up at 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock. I have to find a gym that's open 24/7. So for me, it's that thing where, again, that's a key element with another discussion, but just doing different things. They love what they do, right? So I'm here till sometimes 8, 9 o'clock at night, but there's other people here that I don't say, hey, you have to be here 8 to 9 o'clock at night, right? And on weekends and things like that. So again, going back to building that culture, building that sharing that vision, I think that's what a lot of entrepreneurs and founders and CEOs have a hard time doing sometimes, where they have a vision, but they're not articulating it to all the different people. And that has to trickle down so that you have one core sort of centralized vision that everyone's going after. And sure, there's little pieces, subsets of that, but that's the big thing. If you don't have someone leading that vision, then people can't find their own path along. How do they fit into that vision? And that's what you as a leader have to do. So
very interesting. So what I hear you saying is it's nothing that Todd, did specifically, but I led by example, and I shared a tremendous passion and a clear vision. And as a result, I've had great teamwork, and it's because of that teamwork that's created the growth. That's
100% right, Robbie. I have no clue. You put me in a kitchen, you're going to get eggs and bacon, okay, or burnt toast. But from the standpoint, I understand certain elements of business, and I have a partner in this business that he came from that world, right? And he understands that. So it's understanding your strengths and weaknesses and building around and supporting those pieces simultaneously to, again, 1 + 1 = more than 2.
That's awesome. Yeah. Joel?
Well, you're talking about business and how it works. your business and mine is completely different. I have a very small market. There's a very small percentage of entrepreneurs that are really committed to wanting to get better in their communication skills. And as a result, I've carved out a niche of financial advisors, successful entrepreneurs, where we have a lot of business in that area. You, on the other hand, have 7 billion people that have to eat every day. Now, obviously, in most of the world, they can't even afford food. That's terrible. And there are people starving. But here in the United States and Canada, and I picked up a little bit of your accent, but just in the US, with 330 million people, every one of them's got to eat something. But still, I think one of the keys is your ability to know that everyone is similar in one way. They're a prospect because they need good food, but not all of them can afford to have their food delivered and prepared for them. So that cuts it down. The next thing is, I think one of the most interesting things you said was how you have helped your team, your key leadership team, with getting them tested, how their body uses food, and then doing the 60-day challenge. And have you gotten results from your key people? Have they lost weight, felt more energy, and been healthier?
Yeah, we've had a lot of different ones, Joel. I think the number one person lost almost 28 pounds. We've had people that wanted to put on weight. They've gained lean muscle mass. It's interesting. Some of the people, it's like, hey, my clothes don't fit anymore. And so we've had a lot of great stories where we've lost 3.5 inches off waists. We've had pre-existing conditions, like almost like type 2 diabetes and stuff. They've come off medications, which to me is actually, it's more enjoyable, right? Seeing those results than just monetary results on the revenue sides and stuff. So again, if you can change someone's life internally, I think that that culture is going to make change in your actual revenue structure and the growth of the business. So yeah, we've had great results over those 60 days. And we actually just signed 18 people up for a big mud run challenge in September, which is a 5K. I don't know what it's called, Tough Mudder or whatever it is, but now we have to, that's the next sort of challenge piece. So we've got a little over, I think, 45 days to go for that one. So,
well, that ought to be all on your website. There's a video of each of those key people talking about how they eat your food and how this combination works. I think the most important thing in communicating to the people you're trying to attract, what are the results? And when you get those kind of results, and Robbie mentioned that too, you have to have the right food in the house. You could agree with everything that Todd and Robbie said, but you're eating crap.
Yeah, and that's one of the things we did for the 60 days, right? I paid for all their food. So myself and my partner, we paid for all of their food. They could have up to 20, whatever it was, 30 meals a week of Icon, order whatever they want, built whatever they want based on if they had a trainer or they used our trainer we provided. But I think that's one of the key things as well. What, like Robbie said, on that consistency, right? On that element of convenience. They didn't, I gave them, I don't even know if this is a proper English word, but I say like we gave them, it's excuseless, right? There's excuseless business, excuseless life. Like there's no excuses. They couldn't provide an excuse. They couldn't give an excuse because we provided everything so they didn't have an excuse. And the only other thing was they could do would be to tap out, right? Hey, I'm not taking part. But if they took part, they were going to have some changes depending on what those changes they wanted because we didn't allow them to have an excuse. So again, but that's the rigidness almost of what I think some people need because some people are their own worst enemy, right? That it's sort of between their ears is even more important than what they're putting in their mouth half the time.
Absolutely. So as you're listening to this, you have to ask yourself this. If you're not feeling in great shape, if you don't have the energy you want, if you're not as healthy as you want, if you're not weighing what you want to weigh, not just there's no excuses. The information is here. The tools are here. And I think that was cool what you mentioned earlier, Todd, about that these are tools. These are resource tools you're providing for people who want to have that healthier life. And we know that our mind is so important, but your body carries your head around.
Yeah.
And if your body isn't working right, you're not going to be able to use your full mental capacity. And there are tools available. There are systems that work. And as you heard, go with one source. I think Todd made that very clear. How many diet books are there? There's thousands of them.
Everyone's a guru.
There's going to be more of them coming out because none of them work. I mean, if there was one diet plan, we'd have one book, The Ultimate Diet.
Right.
Everyone. So everybody's got a different approach, but you're an individual, and it's up to you to seek out people like Todd. Check out his web. Look at the meals that are available. You know, it's an investment in yourself. Same thing with a personal trainer. If you're not working out the right way, you're wasting time. And Robbie, what are the statistics of how many people get hurt percentage-wise in the gym?
87% of people who exercise get injured exercising at some point. Yeah.
Because they're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
And that's why for 20 years, I've had Robbie and his team watching every rep. No, scapula back, shoulders up, look up higher. I mean, everything's got to be done right. This is a science.
Yeah.
You know, gravity is built on science. If you drop a pen, it's going down. It's not going up.
Right.
Same thing with what you put in your body.
Yeah.
So use what Todd has given you and Robbie and live the life that you're entitled to live. And you should wake up every morning feeling great, where nothing hurts and everything works.
Love it.
Love it. And with that, we're going to sign off for the day. So, the things that I would say to take away is remember that your nutrition plan starts with having the right foods in your house and the right foods prepared. And Todd and Icon Meals is one great way to be able to get that job done very easily. And you're going to buy food anyway. You're not going to stop eating. So that's one great way to have the food prepared for you, and it's delicious, and we're a customer of theirs as well.
And make it a great day.
Awesome.